Oh no, we lost a page.
Between the Lines with Alison Allwine.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Between the Lines. I'm your host, Alison Allwine, and today's guest is me. I'm going to tell you about the first time I came to New York City to audition. Picture it, Sicily. No, just kidding. It was the year 2003. It was Los Angeles. I got up at the ass crack of dawn for an open call for Rent, which was at the time still playing on Broadway. And back then, I was a ripe young 23 years old, and you couldn't tell me shit, right? I knew I was good. I was actively performing, so I was really like in my wheelhouse. The chops were solid, is what I'm saying. I got in line at the ass crack of dawn to audition down at the United Methodist Church that's on Hollywood and Franklin. If you know, you know. You can hear the other people going in ahead of you. I was such a cocky little son of a bitch, man. I could hear them and I was like, I can do better. I'm telling you, I was annoying. But I wish that I still had this brazen confidence married with the humility and the wisdom that I've learned over the years. But at the time I was like, fucking, I got it. So I waltzed into the room, and this was, again, 2003. So yes, we had the internet, but we weren't really on it like that, you know? Like now you can look up everybody and do. But then, no. So I had no idea who was in the room. They're lovely. I get a golden ticket. They asked me to come back and do a callback. Great. So as I'm walking out, and I got my little callback slip, and you couldn't miss it. It felt very American Idol because it was this bright orange slip of paper. And either you came out with one or you didn't. And somebody in the line that was preparing to go in asked me, oh my God, who was in the room? And I'm like, I don't know. This was like one of the first really big auditions that I'd ever done. And I didn't really clock who was in casting. There was no like in the room sheet, or if there was, it was so beyond my comprehension to even look at that. And I didn't know who the big players were. I was like, I don't know, there's a guy in there with kind of salt and pepper hair, and there's a girl in there. And they were like, oh my God, is it Bernie and Tiffany? I was like, I don't know. It was in fact Bernie and Tiffany. They gave me a cut of Take Me or Leave Me. Sing Take Me or Leave Me. Great for my callback. They had me sing it again. They give me some redirects, which is lovely. I feel like that very rarely happens these days. And then they said, okay. And then I went in, I believe, one more time, still in Los Angeles, and sang the song again, applying the notes and redirects that had been given. That's that. I don't hear anything else. I move on with my life. Now, it's 2004. I have a landline in my home. Crazy notion, I know. I didn't even own a cell phone. All of a sudden, maybe 6 months later, I get a call. We have caller ID, and the caller ID is a 917 number, I think it was. And I was like, that's not California. I don't know where the fuck that is. So I go to the message machine. Beep. Hi, Allison. This is blah, blah, blah from the Bernie Telsey office. We saw you back in November in Los Angeles, or October. And we wanted to see if you would come in to New York and do another round of auditions with us for Rent. If you could call me back and give me your email, we'd love to send you the audition packet. And I'm like, what? My whole heart fell into my butthole. I was so excited, but also nervous. I've never been in New York. I don't know this place. So I tell my husband at the time, I'm like, hey, this happened. I don't even know what to do. Like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. So the scramble begins to get my ass out there. So I call them back. I give them my email address. And while I'm trying to sort out travel plans and where I'm going to go and who I'm going to stay with, thankfully, Deanna, you badass, Deanna Tharp, she was like, oh my God, come stay with me. So that's locked and loaded. Family's buying the ticket to fly me out there. And then I realize when I'm out there, the only phone number I have is my home landline, which will now be 3 hours away. Oh shit. So I go out and get a cell phone. I got my first cell phone. It was a Nokia brick, bitch. I, in the meantime, received this email and I'm like, I better learn the material. And I open it up. It's all Mimi. What? I call them back. I just want to make sure I received the correct materials. And they're like, yeah, it's all the Mimi stuff. We'd love to see you for Mimi. Never really paid much attention to that character because I knew it really didn't suit me, but I'm gonna knock it out the park as best I can. Looking back, And looking back specifically at that headshot, I can see where the confusion came from. This was back when we did our headshots in black and white. Insert picture here, Boricua. So that is my natural wavy hair. That is my overplucked brows from 2003. Yeah, that was confusing for all parties involved. It was even more fun when I showed up in person in New York City with my wavy hair, ready to sing the shit out of Out Tonight. I walk in the room and they look at the headshot and they look at me and they look at the headshot and they look at me and I said, "What are you singing today?" And I said, "Well, I was a little confused, but you sent me the stuff for Mimi." And they said, "Huh, okay, well, did you prepare it?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm prepared. I am prepared. That much I did do." And they're like, "Okay," which I thought was very sweet because they could have just been like, "Yeah, I think we made a mistake." So they let me sing the Mimi stuff. Again, I get a redirect. Thank you so much. This experience changed my trajectory forever. He was so kind. I was clearly so green. Like the first time I sang the song, I sang it right in their eyeballs, straight down the barrel of the gun. And he said, "Okay, I'm gonna stop you." He's like, I don't want to put you off, but that's really unsettling. We're right here. You're staring into our souls. He said, "Try to sing right above my head." Took the time. Could have just been like, "This crazy bitch." Now I'm like throwing in riffs and trying to show off. He said, "I'm going to stop you right there. Your voice is good. You don't need to do extra. Just sing it as it is on the page." And I was like doing extra bits. He's like, "You don't have to choreograph it. Just sing the song. Like, you're enough." Was really like, oh, I'm getting choked up. Like, you're enough. You're here. You did the hard part. You're here. Just be you. And they said, come back in for us in a little while and do the Maureen stuff if you remember it. I'm like, I have remembered it since the second it came out. He says on my last time in, "Do you live here?" And I said to Bernie, I don't actually. I live in California full time. He's like, "Are you gonna move here?" This is where it gets sticky. "No, I'm actually newly married and we live in California, but we've talked about moving out here." He said, "Why don't you go home, talk to your husband, and see if you can speed up that timeline for moving out here." I get home and I talk with my now ex-husband. He was too scared, he wasn't ready. And I said, "Okay." I left when I left him. Now, here I am. I moved out here when I was 45. So this is almost 20 years later. I really try my best to carry this experience from 20 years ago close in my heart. And when I came out here, I really told myself, my 23, 24-year-old self, come out here and treat this as if you had come out here on the heels of that audition, with all of Bernie's words fresh in your heart. Try to attack this city with the same gumption and the same wide-eyed, unbrazen confidence that 23-year-old you had. Because sometimes you get second chances, Sometimes you have to make them for yourself. I absolutely believe that being in New York is 100% part of my destiny. But I'm out here doing my best to keep that moment of being so seen, and the kindness that was extended to me from casting and the encouragement that was poured into me from Bernie and Tiffany and the Telsey team. I just know my time is coming. I feel very ready to be in this city. It's been just over a year now since I moved out here. I'm getting back on some radars, getting on new radars. I feel like this was one of the best decisions I ever made, even if I made it 20 years too late. My mom always used to say, "You're always exactly where you should be." If my mom was right, and she usually is, then I'm out here at just the right time. That is how I eventually ended up out here in New York City. Some days it's just about showing up, That's it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Come back next week. I don't know who the guest will be, but, we're going to have fun. Bye.